The most mysterious theft in America. A story that the FBI still cannot explain. On the night of November 14, 1976, something happened in downtown Chicago that would later be called the perfect crime. Without a criminal. At 2:17 a.m., the alarm system of the main depository vault of the Midwest Trust Bank was switched off for exactly 92 seconds. Exactly the amount of time needed to open one safe, take the contents, and close it again. When employees came to work in the morning, everything looked perfect. The doors were closed. The seals were in place. Not a single trace of a break-in. But there was nothing in safe deposit box number 317. $8 million in cash had disappeared. Some of it in bills with unique serial numbers that the bank kept as a reserve for the Federal Reserve System. And here's the first strange fact. This money officially never left the bank. According to the documents, it was still in the safe. Chapter 1. The safe that couldn't be opened. The Midwest Trust Vault was considered the most secure in the state. 3 levels of security, 2 independent locks. The combinations were changed every week. The alarm system was directly connected to the police station. To get to safe deposit box 317, you needed to have a physical key, know the current combination, disable the alarm, and go through a corridor where 3 cameras were located, but the recordings from that night showed empty corridors. No one entered. No one left. Not a single guard left their post. And the most impossible thing, the safe door was never opened. The locks were undamaged. The mechanisms were untouched. The seals were intact. 0 traces of intrusion. Then the question arises that sent chills down the spines of the investigators. How can you take money out of a safe without opening it? Chapter 2. People who weren't supposed to know. Only 3 people knew the safe combination. The bank director Richard Holmes, the head cashier Martha Gray, the security engineer Leonard Powell. All 3 were questioned within the first 24 hours. And then came the coincidence that would later be called the curse of this case. That night, all 3 had alibis. Holmes was at dinner with a senator, confirmed by security. Gray was in the hospital after surgery, confirmed by doctors. Powell was at his mother's funeral in another state. None of them could physically have been at the bank. But someone knew the combination, and knew it too precisely. The combination had been changed 6 hours before the theft, and this change was not recorded in any log, as if the system forgot that anyone had even touched the code. Chapter 3. Money that couldn't be spent. A week later, the FBI entered the serial numbers of the banknotes into the federal database. Any attempt to exchange them at a bank should have triggered an alarm. A month passed. Not a single banknote. A year passed. Not a single one. 5 years passed. Not a single dollar of those 8 million ever appeared in the system. Not in the USA. Not abroad. Not in money laundering schemes. Not in the drug trade. Not in casinos. It was as if the money simply vanished. Investigators began to put forward the strangest theories. The money could have been destroyed, buried in concrete, sunk in Lake Michigan. But then why risk everything for money that couldn't be used? Chapter 4. The man who didn't exist. Years after the theft, an anonymous envelope arrived at the FBI. Inside was one banknote from the missing batch. Genuine. With the exact same serial number. And a note. You're looking in the vault, but you should be looking in the system. There were no signatures. But along with the banknote came another strange detail. It had microscopic traces of a laboratory reagent that was only used in the Federal Reserve's cash handling department. That is, the banknote had been in the state vault after the theft. Investigators tracked down a man named Harold West. He worked as a technical consultant for banking systems. Not a security guard. Not a cashier. Not an administrator. He checked electronic access logs. And this is what they discovered. A month before the theft, he was the one who upgraded the logging system. After that, the system began to not record some entries, erase short alarm disconnections, automatically restore perfect logs. Simply put, he could enter, take the money, and erase the very fact of entry. But the problem was something else. That night, Harold West officially died. He died in a car accident 3 hours before the theft. There's a protocol. There's a body. There's a funeral. And that's when the case was officially declared technically impossible. Chapter 5. The ghost in the system. In 1983, 7 years later, something even stranger happened. An old backup tape was found in the bank's archives. It contained a fragment of the logs from the night of the theft. And there was one line that took the programmer's breath away. Access granted user West.G to 16, 1 minute before the money disappeared. The problem is that his account was deleted after his death. The password was changed. The terminal from which the login occurred that night was disconnected from the network. That is, the login occurred from a non-existent account, from a non-operational terminal, from a person who was dead. The FBI officially closed the case in 1985. The money was lost due to unknown technical circumstances. Chapter 6. The Last Signal. But the story didn't end there. In 1991, 15 years after the theft, an alarm went off in a Denver bank. A banknote had been deposited into the machine, one with that very same serial number. The teller claimed he received it from a man in his 50s wearing a grey coat. The cameras showed the man approached the window. He placed the banknote. He received his change. He left. But when they checked the recording, his face was not visible, blurred, as if the frame had been deliberately damaged. On the back of the banknote was an inscription. The money didn't disappear. It simply changed owners. After that, no more banknotes appeared. Today, it is officially considered that the money was not found, was not spent, was not recovered, and the most frightening thing, in 2012, during the modernization of the Federal Reserve Archives, a document dated 1977 was discovered. It stated, RESERV 317 moved to an alternative storage facility. Responsible, W. But there is no alternative storage facility in the system, and there has never been an employee with the initial W officially.